We're going to talk about XRP, and I have to start with this CME group crushing Binance in terms of XRP open interest. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As always, this is Rich doing another video on XRP today. I hope you're all having a great day wherever you are in this amazing world. CME already controls 32% of all XRP futures trading volume, or $1.47 billion, according to statistics from analytics platform CoinGlass. Comparatively speaking, with $660 million overall, Binance is in a very distant second place. Bybit, with $599 million, comes in third. With great fanfare, the CME Group's XRP futures market was introduced on May 19th. CME declared in early October that it would begin providing 24-hour trading for cryptocurrency futures, including those based on XRP, in 2026. CME is doing fantastically. The best part of this is that it will keep pushing up the price of XRP in the future. XRP and ETH are now accepted as payment methods by European precious metals dealers. Swiss Bullion is a European dealer of palladium, platinum, silver, and gold. EU has added XRP and ETH to its list of accepted payment options. When it's a precious metals trader, do you ever pay attention? Or the dealer for Lamborghini or Ferrari? Crypto is something they always want to accept. Additionally, it always occurs just as cryptocurrency is poised to take off. You could use your XRP to purchase a Lamborghini instead of sending it to the bank, or use your XRP to purchase precious metals. However, the number of these businesses will increase with time. In the future, cryptocurrency will be accepted everywhere, including Visa and M from Black Swan Capital has now verified that all of our central bank assets and currency ETFs will be token. Global finance's plumbing system is being reconstructed, and the cornerstone is XRP. Listen to this out. The main query from central banks, in my opinion, is what the function of digitization and tokenization is. How soon ought they to consider digitizing their own money? What does that entail for the dollar's function? What does it mean for bank payments if all currencies digital and we have them? What does that entail for payment companies such as Visa and MasterCard, which are currently under scrutiny? I believe that we talk about artificial intelligence far too much and not nearly enough about how rapidly we will tokenize all financial assets. Additionally, there will be a chance for us to have a digital wallet and transfer ETFs and other items. And I believe that will occur very quickly on a global scale. Similar to how technology is transforming AI and other things, most nations are unprepared for it and do not fully see how it is changing that. The technologies pertaining to the financial plumbing will be altered. The word plumbing, which Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple have used numerous times in the past, was used by Larry Fink. I continue to think that Ripple and Blackrock probably have an NDA. An XRP spot ETF is something Blackrock will not ignore. They're probably going to file, which will indicate that it's time to move forward. However, he is correct. All assets will eventually be tokenized. And notice how he stated that things are moving more quickly since they want to tokenize everything as soon as possible. Additionally, those Bitcoin ETFs will eventually be tokenized assets that operate on a ledger similar to XRP. VT is the source of this. One special feature of XRP on the ledger is auto bridging, which uses XRP as a counterparty-free and neutral bridge asset, unlike the US dollar, to improve the liquidity of issued tokens, stable currencies, etc. This XRP ledger feature only activates if it improves your conversion rate. As you can see, the combined order book is arranged from best to worst based on the quality of conversions. You know there are fees associated with conversion rates as well. The XRP ledger is designed to provide you with the optimal rate. Additionally, it reduces expenses when sending transactions. The XRP ledger was designed with payments in mind, with the goal of facilitating quicker and more affordable transactions. Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, speaking with Ross Lecco, Deputy General Counsel at the IMF. I believe that banks and other financial organizations will be utilizing XRP in their payment processes within a year. As it happens, I was correct. Brad was slightly off on the timeline for some of this, though. Listen to it. About a year ago, I made this prediction while attending the Singapore FinTech Festival. However, when I returned to the office, the PR team told me that I had gone too far in predicting that banks and other financial institutions would use XRP and its payment flows within a year. I made that forecast a year ago, and when I returned to the office, everyone says, "Brad, you're not allowed to say things like that." I remind the crew that it turns out I was correct. In light of this, what are the things that we find difficult to believe will actually happen in a year? Not even unique to the XRP's community or Ripple. The fact that banks will be directly holding digital assets is something that will probably surprise us in a year. And I believe that at the moment we consider that and conclude that it is not possible for that to occur. They're too traditional, and it appears to me that two things are going on. One is that banks are realizing that digital asset exchanges around the world are generating a lot of revenue. Banks are also driven by profit. The second is that regulatory frameworks and transparency allow banks and other financial organizations to leverage these markets, as we have discussed here, and Ross has undoubtedly made very clear. And by this point, I believe we will surprise ourselves. And by that, I'll also say that it will be banks in the ASEAN markets, where there is a lot of advanced forward thinking and regulatory clarity. They will be the first to genuinely permit the custody of cryptocurrency assets in their accounts. Finally, banks are now permitted to hold cryptocurrency, but they haven't jumped on the bandwagon just yet because regulations aren't in place. Now that they have the rules in place, it is proceeding much more quickly. Brad's prognosis, however, may have been somewhat off the schedule, but that timeline is currently unfolding in real time. I believe that by the end of 2025, regulations will be in place in the United States. They need to finish that, in my opinion, or else we will simply lag behind the rest of the globe. And the banks will want to invest in this area even more than they currently do after those restrictions are put in place. According to Peter Schiff, the value of Bitcoin is dependent on an increasing number of idiots, and he warns that when belief wanes, Bitcoin will plummet. People immediately said, "Oh, he's completely wrong. Among other things, he is a gold man." However, I've been saying the same thing all along. The fundamental tenet of Bitcoin is the conviction that its value will only increase. The issue is that the belief system will eventually come to an end. Bitcoin's market capitalization can be flipped with just one cryptocurrency. When that occurs and Bitcoin loses its position as the most popular cryptocurrency, the belief system will perish along with it and eventually fade into obscurity. Bitcoin will eventually become obsolete because of utility. As the election draws near, a pro-crypto organization supports Andrew Cuomo for mayor of New York City. Since they are aware of the outcome of the presidential election, it goes without saying that any politician who is currently losing in the polls will embrace the cryptocurrency field. You can see how the entire election was altered by crypto. It will probably do the same thing here as well. In the midterms it will do it, since a lot of money is invested in these pro-crypto candidates. Anyone who is not in favor of them is probably going to lose in the midterm elections. However, money isn't the only consideration. Americans want innovation to continue to advance. They want the United States to be at the forefront of innovation and cryptocurrency. But when the midterms approach, we'll notice this even more. To promote research on the XRP ledger, DeFi and Quantum, Ripple forms an advisory committee. You see, some of these blockchains will have challenges in the future due to quantum computing. However, David Schwartz stated that the XRP ledger would be quantum-proof when required, demonstrating that Ripple is already ahead of this. He isn't displaying a feeling of urgency at the moment, but they are already making progress in this direction. However, we are still very early in that process. Believe that quantum computers will probably be available in a few years. I believe that quantum computing will really take off, probably in 2027. Additionally, you will see the emergence of AI and the new financial system at about the same time. I believe that by 2027, robots will be present in most locations. As you can see, AI is now being advanced quickly. Tunisia, DNA Protocol Lab Input. Our North African rollout has expanded to Tunisia, where enrollment has officially started. Onboarding certified labs and clinics to anchor genomic identity data on the XRP ledger is already underway. Regarding DNA procedure, my feelings are completely conflicted.